This video is brought to you by Against the Flow of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is a book about Jake Fayard, a Marine veteran who is unhappy with the political machine running the state of Mississippi. He decides to fight the corruption from the inside. Jake will face more challenges than he ever has and will stand up for what he thinks is right. His notoriously hot temper will push him to the edge of murder, along with his friend and brother Kobe Barhanovich. Together, they will fight the system and give the power back to the citizens of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is now available on Amazon. A link to the book will be placed in the description below.
We will not be silent. We will not obey. We will not allow our government to destroy our humanity. We are the final American Revolution.
When is the right time to stand up for freedom? Could it be when you start to feel creating children who'll inherit the pain and the debt of this nation and be slaves to the banks that cause hyperinflation, who are masters of commerce, lies, and bad legislation?
All right, y'all. So, another episode of Liberty with a Southern accent. It got hot. Had to cut the hair and cut the beard. And sorry, it's been kicking up pretty close to and over 100 degrees down here in Mississippi. But, welcome to the South. Speaking of the South, there's one thing that we love universally in the South. We love football. And we all love a good football movie. Not just that we love a good football movie, we love a good feel-good football movie. One of those movies, and one of my favorite, is called The Blind Side. About Michael Oher. Grew up in a poor, extremely ghetto area of Memphis, Tennessee. Then he decided to come down and play football at Ole Miss. And he went on and he played for the Baltimore Ravens. If you've seen the movie, Michael Oher had nothing. Michael Oher starts out living with a mechanic. The mechanic kicks him out and he's on the street, but he's still going to this mainly all-white private school on the outside of Memphis. I'm assuming probably on the eastern side. He hooks up with Sean and Leanne Toohey. They take him in. Their son, S.J., I'm guessing Sean Jr., teaches him how to play football when he's only about 8 years old and just a little runt himself. Of course, this is all the movie. This is everything that's in the movie. And then he goes on to, get his grades up, gets a Division I scholarship, goes to Ole Miss, and graduates after 4 years. And his, good Christian upbringing by the white family saved, the white knights saved the poor black kid from the inner dangers of Memphis. And then he went on, he went and played for the Ravens for a while. Well, It's a good feel-good story. But I always suspected, not knowing anything about Michael Oher, not knowing anything about the Tuohys, I always wondered, because Hollywood seldom gets it right. I think somebody said something that if Hollywood gets 12% of the facts correct in a movie, they're doing good. So I watched this movie bearing all of this in mind. To the throwing his arm and stopping the airbag from just destroying little skinny run SJ's face when they get in an accident in the pickup truck, to what the Tuohys' actual motivations were. First time I watched this movie was not long after it came out, 2009, 2010, that area. I've seen it several times. I like the movie. Fast forward to 2023, Michael Oher has retired from the NFL. He's made millions, I'm sure. I mean, guy was a hell of a good left tackle. Excellent ball player, from what I understand. Don't know if he won a Super Bowl or not. I'm not a Ravens fan, so I wouldn't have really followed him too much. Who dat? Saints fan, sorry. And he didn't play for Georgia, so obviously I wouldn't be following him too good on that. But because of the movie, I knew about him. That being said, apparently when he was 18, he thought he was signing adoption paperwork so that the Tuohys could formally adopt him. Now, normal people in this world would realize that you cannot adopt an 18-year-old child. An 18-year-old child is no longer a child. He or she is an adult. But would a poor kid from the projects actually understand that? Probably not. I would argue no. I would argue that a poor, black, uneducated, or barely educated child who hasn't even obtained a high school diploma would not fully understand that adoption paperwork could not be signed on somebody who was legally of age, who was legally an adult. However, I'm sure, I know in Mississippi, an 18-year-old can sign a contract. In most states, an 18-year-old, and I'm sure in Tennessee it's the same way, that an 18-year-old can sign a legal binding contract. I mean, you could join the military at 18, that's a contract. That's a federal contract. But I'm fairly certain that he didn't know what he was signing. I don't know what the conservatorship actually is, but I'm assuming it goes back to money. It always does. Most people in this world don't do something for nothing. Like my grandma used to say, ain't nothing free in this world but Jesus. And that was a smart woman. So for them to do all these nice things that allegedly they did for him in the movie, and then to use his name, and he has said in many interviews that the movie did not depict the truth, which again, we're talking Hollywood. Remember that 12% rule? You know, Stanley Kubrick didn't direct this movie, so we know it's not going to be documentary-like. It's not going to be 100% factual. I always question their motives. Why did they feel the need to bring a strange black man from, or black kid from the ghetto into their house, their upper class white neighborhood? What would possess somebody to do this? And yes, I'm throwing race in this because it does matter. Historically speaking, people who fit that demographic, who are minorities, coming from really bad neighborhoods, though they're very smart, they're often not given the full picture when they're asked to sign certain documents. And that leads to them later being exploited. Nobody wants to admit that, but it is the truth. Especially when this kid is 18 years old. And now at 18 years old, he is legally, by all rights and everything else, legally he's a grown man. But mentally he's probably not. And he entrusted these people, and they made money off of him. I am certain that they made money off of his success. Now, they set him up for success, and that was true. But when you set somebody up for success, my humble opinion is you need to do it out of the goodness of your heart. But let's look at what they've done. There was a book deal. There was a movie deal. I'm sure Ole Miss on the back end probably threw him a few bucks to get him to go to Ole Miss, which was the whole premise of the movie, was you're going to Ole Miss. You're not going to Tennessee. You're not going to LSU. We don't want you playing with Saban at LSU. We don't want you playing at Tennessee. You know, that's why the Kathy Bates character told him, knowing that he was scared of horror movies and stuff, about the cadaver farm at Knoxville, and so told him that the cadaver farm was up under Neyland Stadium, which we know that's a lie. But it was all to get him to go to the University of Mississippi. If you follow the premise of the movie. Why do boosters do this? Why do they care so much about sending somebody to their alma mater? It's because there's something in it for them. I don't know how much he has to give them out of their conservatorship, or maybe they have 100% control of his money. I don't know. Again, I haven't seen the contract. I haven't read the document. I'm not sure. But now, after he's been out of the NFL for a few years now, as far as I can understand it, he's finally stepping up. Somebody probably said, hey, look, man, that wasn't adoption paperwork. And now that he's older and been out in the world and dealt with contracts and lawyers and Probably has a couple of lawyers of his own that are good friends with him. I'm sure it started by coming up in conversation, and he's like, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. Again, he's already publicly stated that the movie didn't have it right. He's publicly stated that he didn't like the way he was portrayed in the movie. He said that for years, as far as I can tell. Leanne Toohey came from a notoriously racist family from what I have read. I don't know that to be true. This is just things that I have read. I hope that's not true. But if it is true, it begs the question even further. I think it begs the question. This man is pretty close to my age, and I'll be 40 in a year. Why do they have anything to do with his money? Why do they have any control over him? He is definitely now a grown man. Why does he have to sue them? Why don't they do the right thing? We all see people having stories that breaks our hearts. I know quite a few people that are in situations I wish I had the means to get them out of. But what sets a good person apart from a not so good person is the good person does it out of the kindness of their heart. The not so good person tries to find an angle in what's in it for me. If he has to take this to court, there's a problem. I think we can all agree on it. Mike, you'll probably never see this video, but if you do, I wish you well. I wish you luck. Maybe somebody will see this video and learn, hey, don't let somebody take advantage of you. Yes, they set him up for success. But who did all the work? Michael Oher did all the work. He tightened up and got his grades right to where he could get that scholarship to Ole Miss. He hit the books hard enough to where he stayed on the football team at Ole Miss and went out there and played his heart out enough to get drafted into the NFL. They gave him the first step. He took it from there and ran with it. Which tells me that he was already capable of doing everything that he did anyway. Y'all have a good day. Liberty with a Southern accent.